This arson attack comes right after Benjamin Netanyahu warned that a lack of support for Israel's fight against Hamas and Hezbollah and others will lead to an increase in incidents of anti-Semitism, let alone terrorism, including here in Australia. Now, you're a former ambassador to Israel. Just how bad is the relationship when Australia is specifically called out by the Israeli Prime Minister?
It's hit a new low in my experience, James. I mean, I've never seen an Israeli Prime Minister publicly criticise any Australian government, Labor or Liberal, like that. And certainly, you know, the Australian ambassador to Israel was called in just last week by the Foreign Ministry. I've never seen an expression of displeasure like that before. But I think it's because this government, this Labor government, has almost gone out of their way to damage this relationship and positively downgrade this relationship with Israel because they're interested in playing to a domestic audience on this issue, not looking after Australia's national interests and foreign relations.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. It looks like they have gone out of their way to ruin the relationship. Just staying with the theme for a second, but the head of ASIO pointed out today that 20% of their counter-terror caseload is now being consumed by youths. The boss of ASIO, Mike Burgess, said in every one of the terrorist attacks, disruptions and suspected terrorist incidents in Australia this year, the alleged perpetrator was a young person. Now, there were some interesting things in this report, one of which that struck my attention was the example they gave was a young person who was a white supremacist. I'm not sure that that's the major problem we're facing with terrorism in this country right now, but I wanted to ask you, what do we do about this? Clearly, we don't want young people going down this path, but we can't be lenient with something so serious just because of a person's age.
No, it can't be. I think, look, young people are particularly susceptible because, you know, their minds and thoughts are not yet fully formed. They're particularly susceptible to extremist ideology, and we saw that when Islamic State, for instance, was running rampant in Syria and Iraq. A number of young Australians were beguiled by that philosophy. Some of them went to travel there, young women and young men, sometimes teenagers as well. So this is always a point of vulnerability. But I would say that, you know, if someone is at the age of criminal responsibility, and we have laws to protect the very young from that, if someone is the age of criminal responsibility, we need to be sending a strong message that we will not tolerate this sort of embrace of extremism and terrorism. And so I think they do need to face the full force of the law.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Sharma, I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much.